Hi guys, and welcome to this overview of Typography Assessment 4, the Watch Your Type poster design. This is what the brief looks like, which you can access from the assessment area. Essentially what you are asked to design for Typography Assessment 4 is as an A3 poster to promote the upcoming Watch Your Type exhibition at the Powerhouse Museum. I would encourage you to carefully review this brief and also the deliverables before attempting this task. So the very first thing I would encourage you to do before even attempting to illustrate, to sketch, to draw, to do anything on the computer would be to conduct some thorough research into type-based poster designs. I'm just going to show you a few examples which I've collected. Now there's many different ways that you can be creative with this particular assessment task. It's about allowing type to be the hero of the poster. You may wish to generate your own typeface. You may wish to play around with experimenting with an existing typeface and adding embellishments, creating a bespoke typeface or a customized typeface. It's really up to you, but you do need to think about what the brief is asking of you, and that essentially you're promoting an upcoming exhibition which is all about type and typography, and it will be open to the public. So you may be inspired by some of the exercises that we've conducted over the course of this subject. For example, Swiss style. You may have a particular flair for designing or scribing your own typefaces, so you might want to do something like that. The main thing is to look at type, how you can use type in an impactful way, because essentially that's all you can use for this poster design. So have a really good think about it, conduct a lot of research into it, and allow these type-based posters that you see to really inspire you. Okay, so let's have a look at a few student examples and how they have gone about tackling this assessment for poster design. So this first example, this particular student created her own typeface. She started by illustrating the typeface on paper by hand, and then she scanned it, took it into Illustrator and vectorized the letter forms before then taking the letter forms into Photoshop and adding some embossing effects. And then she compiled the final poster design in Adobe InDesign and added the mandatory text and the Powerhouse logo. Just note that she's also included bleed and trim marks on this design. This particular design is really simple but still very effective. I like the use of positive and negative space. I like the way that the T's are falling from the sky, and then the positive space at the bottom has been used to place the heading and the mandatory text. It's a really simple but effective approach to this task. A good solution. Now this particular student decided to work on a theme, and her theme was never mind, there are plenty more fonts in the sea, similar to the saying there's plenty more fish in the sea. And she's run with that. She's generated a type-based poster where the seas actually look like they're in the water. They could be fish. And then she's added her heading and the venue and dates down the bottom there, as well as the logo. And this final student example is a really simple idea, but still very effective. Something like a seeing eye test that you might see at an optometrist. But the student has used the main heading of What's Your Type, created it using many different type classifications, similar to what we have studied over the course of this subject. In many ways, this could be used as an educational tool. because there are so many different typefaces like black letter and slab serif in there. But it's just a simple and very thought-provoking kind of concept, and I thought it was quite effectively executed. So I'd just like to run through a few points to consider in relation to this brief. So make sure you do read the assessment brief, but these are just some points that I'd really like to really emphasize in relation to this assessment task. So firstly, please, as I mentioned earlier, research type-based poster design for inspiration. Spend a good amount of time looking at other type-based posters and study the way use it as visual research to study the way that other designers have used type effectively. Now, I would encourage you to devise a solid theme or concept for your poster which is appropriate for this exhibition. There's a really great quote which states, practice safe design, use a concept. And I think all of the examples which I've shown you, they generally have a strong concept about them, which is why they're so effective. Produce at least 3 uniquely different thumbnail sketches and include these as part of your submission. So this is a requirement for this assessment task. So please get your visual diary out and grab a pencil and sketch some concepts for poster designs using type before you jump onto your computer software or design software to generate your final design. And you'll need to submit these thumbnail sketches as part of your assessment task. Your poster design must include all mandatory text and the supplied Powerhouse logo. I will note that the mandatory text still states 2013, so you may change that the year to the current year, but otherwise you do need to include all the mandatory text and the Powerhouse logo in your design. Now, thoughtfully consider your type selection and hierarchy. With type being the hero of this poster, it is your type selection and the way that you utilize the type and what you emphasize needs to be really thoughtfully considered. Obviously, the name of this type exhibition is What's Your Type? So you would want to make sure that that is the first read of this poster. Your final poster must be generated as an A3 size document within Adobe InDesign and then output as a print-ready PDF including 3mm bleed and trim marks. Now, you may end up using Illustrator or Photoshop or a combination of those softwares. However, your final poster must be compiled in InDesign. You may end up generating your entire poster using only InDesign, but InDesign must be where you finalize your poster, add your final text, the date and venue and the logo, and then generate your print-ready PDF from there. Your PDF submission to Blackboard must include your sketches, as mentioned earlier, and your final print-ready poster design. Okay, so now I'd just like to finish up by pointing out a few things which I'd like you to avoid doing in your poster design. There's a few things that I've seen come in from students over the past couple of years for this assessment task, and I just thought I'd like to point these out to you. So the first one is, as stated in the brief, the use of images including illustrations and photos is strictly not permitted for this particular task. The only exception maybe is using a photographic image as a texture over the top of your final creation, but otherwise it's really important that you do avoid the use of images or illustrations and you allow type to be the hero of this poster design. The other thing I'd like you to avoid is attempting to use lots of smaller type to form a person's face or a person in general. Many students have tried this concept before, only to produce rather poor results. I'll give you an example now of what I mean. This kind of thing, where there's obviously a person's face which has been made up of lots of smaller type. I haven't seen this concept executed well at all. It's usually produced quite poorly, and it can also hugely or significantly increase the size of your the file size of your document. So I would encourage you to avoid a concept along these lines. And the final thing to avoid is to um, avoid using your design, or basing your design rather, around a question mark symbol. Many students have done this concept before, or generated a similar concept which is based around a large question mark, and it's really not the most creative solution for this particular brief. So I would encourage you to avoid basing your design around a question mark symbol. So I would encourage you to have a lot of fun with this assessment task. You can be creative with it. It's all about using all the knowledge that you've acquired over the course of this subject, typography, and I really look forward to seeing what you guys submit for this final assessment task. So have fun, and I'll see your designs really soon. Thanks, guys.